I'm already excited with today's study. I'm going to show you 5 serious opening traps that you can play even in classical tournaments, and still your opponents won't be able to find the best responses, I promise. And you will have all the reasons to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And hey, be sure to hit the like button and leave your comments in the comment section down below to encourage me in return. Let's go! Our first opening trap, coming straight from my elbow library, is what I call the Bishop S6 London trap for white. Guys, you are going to love this. So you start with pawn to d4. Then if I turn on the Masters Database, you are going to see that knight to f6 is what most advanced players play in OTB, classical tournaments or classical matches, whatever. So they'll play knight to f6, or they can start with d5 first. It doesn't matter. So you go bishop f4, then soon or later they play pawn to d5, after which you go pawn to e3. Now once again, you can see with your own eyeballs, pawn to c5 is by far the top played move in the Masters Database, after which I recommend you go knight to f3, just playing a simple game as if you are a friendly person. They'll play knight c6 again, the top played move in the Masters Database. Now you go knight bd2, and it is in this position where black can go different directions, for example queen b6 or pawn to e6, and also c takes d4. But if you want to know how to punish queen b6, pawn to e6 or c takes d4, you can watch this video that has popped up in the card above, my 10 best London system traps. But the move that invites our beautiful trap is the 4th played move in the Masters Database, bishop g4. For example, if I go one move backwards and turn on the Lichess Database, you're going to see that it's the 2nd most played move, which may be a long-term positional mistake if black is not careful. Watch. Immediately you see bishop g4, just remember to play pawn to c3, guys. They play pawn to e6, again the top played move, after which you go queen a4. Everything looks normal, even up to now. Queen a4 unpins the knight, by the way. Look at this, guys. Bishop d6 is by far the top played move, played by over 3,000 people on Lichess, which is a positional blunder, because now you have a golden move to surprise your opponent. Bishop a6. What a cold-blooded move. Oh, by the way, there's also a similar trap for black in the reverse London, where we also sacrifice our bishop on a3 like this. I'm going to show you in the next trap. But first, the main idea here is just to win a free pawn on b7. If black takes your bishop, you just take the knight, and that's check. If queen d7, the rook on a8 to die. If knight d7, the bishop on d6 would die. So black has to play king e7, trying to hold on to d alive, but you have queen b7 check, and after the top played move queen d7 blocking the check, you just simply grab that bishop, and on the next move, grab a free pawn on c5. And there's a beautiful triple fork that can happen in this line when black takes on c5, where you just go queen b4 check, and after king c6 on the move, you go knight e5 check, which is also a double attack on the queen and the light squared bishop, and here black should resign. So let's see what else black can do if they don't take your light squared bishop on a6, after bishop s6. Let's say black plays bishop takes f4 first. Well, you can simply go bishop takes b7, double attacking the rook and knight. If castle short, you take the knight, and if rook b8, you go e takes f4. Rook takes b2, for example, you just go d takes c5. You're still in control of the game and leading in terms of positional advantage and material. So this is a great trap to try out. Even in classical matches, you won't lose anything, you're safe. Let's move on to the next trap. The second opening trap, which I highly recommend even in classical matches, is what I call the bishop a3 reverse London trap for black. This is where white starts with d4, then you go pawn to d5, and if I go back to the Masters Database, you will see that knight to f3 is the 2nd most played move. So remember, this works against the queen's pawn game and not the queen's gambit. So when you see the move knight to f3 on move 2, yep, you can play the London system. And now this is when you're going to see them playing pawn to c4, thinking they fooled you or tricked you somehow, but just continue playing normally. Pawn to e6. The top played move, as you can see once again, played by masters, is knight c3. Now this is when you can go knight to f6. Again, you can see in the Masters Database, the top played move is bishop g5, after which I recommend you go pawn to c6, creating this important pyramid like the Semi-Slav. Anyways, pawn to e3 is the top played move. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at this position, it is very similar to the one that we just looked at in the London system for white. The only difference is that by move 6, our queen's knight was already sitting on d2, while in the reverse London system, we haven't yet developed our queen's knight on d7. So if you want this is when you can go knight d7. But hey, I like going queen a5 immediately and pinning my knight. If you think bishop takes and pawn takes leaves your position weak, nope, that's not what Stockfish thinks, because at best you just opened up your G file for your king's rook, and this is also an ideal setup in the French defense, and in some Sicilian positions, masters know what I'm talking about. So you can check the engine once again. Black is not worse. The eval bar hasn't changed from the beginning, so don't be afraid to go into this line even in the tournament. Anyways, if I turn on the Lichess database, you are going to see that even in this position, the top played move is bishop d3. White just wants to develop the bishop and castle shot maybe. But hey, this is where you can surprise your opponent once again with the move bishop a3 this time. So you can see it is the same idea with the main London system, but most people don't know this. So if you are seeing this for the first time, don't be lazy, you guys. The like button is closer to your thumb. You can click on that and subscribe to my channel if at all you haven't already. That's how we help each other in the world of chess. Anyways, again, we just want to win a free pawn on b2. So if white takes your bishop, which is a blunder, you can just take their knight on c3 with check. Once again, if queen d2, you would take the free rook on a1. So white has to play king e2, giving up their right to castle, after which you go queen b2 check, and after queen d2 blocking the check, that's when you take the light squared bishop with check. After king takes, you take the free pawn on c4. Oh, it's not free, but at least the pawn on a3 is going to be free. Again, you just emerged with an extra pawn. By the way, the game can even end in a dramatical way if white is not careful. If they carelessly play rook hc1, you simply have pawn to b5 and that's checkmate. Going back a few moves, let's say white doesn't take your bishop on a3 and instead go bishop takes f5. Once again, you can just take the free pawn on b2. And hey, which piece is white going to save among the highlighted ones? Is it the rook? Is it the knight? Or is it the light squared bishop? Well, I don't know. So this is how beautiful this trap can be, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on. Serious opening trap number 3 in the Boden-Kieseritzky gambit. Spoiler alert, we are going to see another bishop sacrifice, now this time on h6. This is absolutely crazy, guys. So you can start with e4, and now black plays e5. Then bishop c4, the bishop's opening, and knight to f6, the top played move. Then instead of going knight c3, you can also go knight to f3, temporarily sacrificing your pawn on e4. If you think this is not playable in classical matches or classical tournaments, let the Lichess database speak for itself. You can see some over-the-board games that went exactly like this, and white players won some games. In reality, this is just the Russian game Italian variation. If black takes, you can take back on e5 as well if you want, or just go ahead and play the top played move knight to c3, officially known as the Boden-Kieseritzky gambit, giving black one more chance to take on c3 as well, which they are going to do most of the times. Still in the Masters database, by the way, 2500s play these openings, and also 2400s you can see with your own eyeballs. So here you can just take back with your d pawn, and here is how tricky this opening is. Black must know what he is doing. For example, all these highlighted moves in red are blunders. Maybe bishop e7 is not really a blunder but a positional mistake. Black must play this dogfish move, the top played move, pawn to f6, kind of a weird looking move. After this, I just recommend that you just castle short, and they can play pawn to c6 or d6. I'm interested in pawn to d6 because I already covered pawn to c6 in the video that has popped up in the card above. You can check it out. And now you want to relocate your king's knight to the queen side in order to clear the way for your f pawn. Knight h4 is also playable, but I like this weird move, knight d4. I just want to put my knight on b3 or maybe on a3 someday and begin attacking from the king side, starting with pawn to f4. Oh, Casper, but the knight is free. Yep, I know, but that's the idea. We didn't want that knight anyways, because we just wanted to open up the lines for our king's rook. So rook e1 check. The top played move is bishop e7, blocking the check, but hey, we don't like our dark squared bishop either, which is why you have to play bishop h6. A brilliant sacrifice once again, and from here, ladies and gentlemen, all that your higher rated opponent is fighting for is a draw in this position. If black takes your bishop, you simply go queen h5 check, king f8 to lead to mate in 1. So the only move is king d7, but you still have a move. Never think of going bishop e6 check. That will lead to a draw. So the move is queen f5 check. If king c6, that will be mate in 1. And if black chooses to go king e8, find the best move to play in this position in order to claim an advantage. I'm giving you 4 seconds to pause this video. Don't cheat, be real to yourself. This is for your own chess improvement, guys. So let's see what you can do in this position after your opponent's king goes back to e8. I guess some of you guys found the move queen takes f6 and others queen h5 check, which means you have to work harder in terms of your tactical vision and your chess puzzles. Ladies and gentlemen, the best move in this position, if you take some time to think, is rook takes e7 check. Why is this the best? Because if queen takes, now you can take the free bishop on c8 with check. Our light squared bishop is covering all these highlighted diagonals, so the black king can't escape from Sobibo. If queen d8, you have rook e1 check, and it's just a matter of time before black gets checkmated. In this position, black just played king g7 running away from check. And now it is white to move. The queen on d8 is under attack by black's rook on h8. Again, I'm giving you 4 seconds to pause this video and find the best move. Let's go. If you found rook e7 check, or queen takes c7 check, then you still have some work to do in terms of your chess puzzles and your tactics. The right move in this position, ladies and gentlemen, is queen takes h8. These are just simple tactics that I wanted you to test yourself with. That's just a free rook. If king takes, this would be a mate in 2 like this. Congrats to all those who found these puzzles right. Anyways, that was the Boden-Kieseritzky trap to know. Let's move on to the 4th trap. Opening trap number 4, this will be a quick one that can happen in the Richter-Veresov attack, one of my favorite openings, where white starts with d4, then black plays d5, and now instead of going bishop f4, you go knight c3. If black plays knight to f6, then boom, and after pawn to e6, the top played move, yeah, you can take the knight, but why not going pawn to e4 and oversimplifying things, especially if you're an endgame lover. Queen takes f6. Guys, trust me, you just simplified things from the queen side in order to start concentrating on the king side. Knight to f3, castle short, queen d3, and in most of these lines you are going to be castling long and start attacking on the king side as highlighted on the board. You will put your queen on e4 and your light squared bishop on d3. Your c-pawn will sit on c3 and your king on b1 someday. From here, it can be anyone's game. Let the best player win. Let me show you one of my quickest games that I had on Lichess against a decent opponent with this same opening, where black delayed knight to f6. So back on move 2, after I played knight c3, black knew what I wanted to do after knight to f6, so he played bishop f5, after which I played pawn to f3. That's another idea of the Richter-Veresov, to go pawn to e4 someday, so that you still remain with 2 pawns on the center against 1 center pawn for black. This is when my opponent played knight f6, and then I played bishop g5, because what else can I do? That's the only thing I know in this world. And lo, you can see the top played move in the Lichess database is pawn to e6. First of all, I should mention to say, my opponent was almost a 2300 rated chess player. And yep, he calls himself the Lord of the Dogs. Yet he still fell for this trap. He played pawn to e6 in this position, allowing me to win his light squared bishop instantly with the move pawn to e4. After d takes e4, I just took back on e4. And if you haven't noticed, up to now, black's knight on f6 can't move because it is pinned to the queen. If bishop takes, I'm gonna take the free bishop. If bishop g6, which he played, pawn to e5 was very strong, and I was assured of winning a free knight. My opponent tried pawn to h6, but I just retreated my bishop, and after bishop takes c2, a walk of shame, I took back with my queen. Still, his knight was under attack, but he desperately took on d4, also indirectly attacking my bishop, but I played knight to f3, protecting everything, including my e5 pawn. He tried queen e3, but I played bishop e2. His knight is still under attack, so he desperately played knight g4, but I played rook d1 with both my eyes closed, and he quickly played bishop b4, pinning my knight and also preparing to castle short, but I checkmated the Lord of the Dogs together with his puppies. Anyways, I'm just trash talking. This is another skill you need to learn in chess as you improve. Anyways, the last opening trap that I want you guys to look out for in your classical matches is one that I call the Anti-Slav defense g4 trap. Let me show you. This is where you can start with d4, then after d5, you go pawn to c4, the queen's gambit, and again you can see in the Masters database, pawn to c6 is by far the top played move. which is the Slav defense. It can later on turn into the Semi-Slav. I have a beautiful course on the Semi-Slav. You can check it out on my website, www.kasperchess.com, or you can find the link in the comment section down below. After pawn to c6, you just go knight to f3. They'll play pawn to e6. If they play pawn to e6, that's an indication of the Semi-Slav, since they are deliberately hitting their light squared bishop. But anyways, you go pawn to e3, and here they may play all sorts of things, including bishop e7. So you go queen c2. The idea is to go pawn to e5 someday, and the other advanced plan is to invite knight to f6 in order for you to go pawn to g4. Like for real, this can happen on the next move, or let's say if they play pawn to a6, you first of all go knight c3, an improving move which is also a waiting move to allow black to play knight to f6, which happened in the game that I'm analyzing, where you can immediately go pawn to g4. This is a very interesting idea, you guys. I learned this the hard way from a friend of mine who lives in Zambia by the name James Chibuye, quite a strong chess player who scores well with this opening. The idea is that if knight takes g4, now white has rook g1, force black to go back and take the g7 pawn to stop black from castling short, since that's what they want to do in the Semi-Slav defense. Again, if black doesn't take on g4, and let's say they go pawn to h6, you still go rook g1, wanting to open up the g file once again. If g5, black is just weakening his king side. Castling short will make no sense at all, because I can still go pawn to h4. If g takes h4, I can take back the pawn if I want, or go bishop d2 and castle long. The h4 pawn won't go anywhere. The main plan is I just stopped black from castling short, and it doesn't make sense for them to castle long either because they already committed their queenside pawns. I'm going to be fast in development and I'm going to crush you. That's what James is saying. So that's one advanced trap to look out for in serious tournaments. You guys, this is all for today. If at all you enjoyed watching this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, and also do subscribe to my channel if at all you haven't already. Again, thank you so much for watching my video. Until next time, bye bye.